Well, 2 more portal commits. Clark Lee is cooking. Man, what a difference a year makes.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Now, on the heels of the Pavia news, which is phenomenal, Vandy lands 2 more commits, a baller on offense and a baller on defense. Clark Lee's building something special here, man, and proving that this past season may not be a fluke, man. And here's the deal. He's cooking, man. And I say this, what a difference a year makes. Like, again, I reiterate, as I have so many times, what a difference a year makes, because this time last year, no portal commits. Wasn't sure if the head coach was even going to be around. They were trying to make some, they were trying to have some, come to Jesus type revelations here within the program of how do we fix this thing? And now it's like, okay, we've got everything set. We're going to build a winner here. Like, we're going to compete. We're going to build an actual monster. And that's been the goal. And that's what's going to happen. So, it's Clark Lee's cooking, and it's not a fluke. And the question is, why can it be sustainable, or how can it be sustainable? Like it's Vanderbilt, so surely it can't be sustainable, right? Wrong, because in the NIL era, Vanderbilt has proven that if you have a good culture, if you have a good culture of developing people, and you're in a good situation, which Nashville's a great situation for NIL, not only just with the collectives, but just other opportunities outside of the normal realm of NIL revenue. You have a chance to really build something special in your city, and you have a chance to turn Vanderbilt into what it's never been, a viable SEC football program, right? You can turn Vanderbilt football into what Vanderbilt baseball is, someone who's always in contention. Whether they win it every year or not, they're going to be somebody that's always in contention, right? Look what Lane Kiffin did for Ole Miss. Ole Miss was that type of team as well. Ole Miss was, a team that every once in a while they have a great season. They had the Eli Manning years. They had some years here and there where they overachieve, but they're perpetually a 7-8 win school with low valleys. Vanderbilt spent most of their football existence in the valleys with very few. Their peaks weren't very high, their valleys were pretty low, and they stayed in those valleys for quite some time, and perpetual cellar dwellers, right? So you're looking at a university now that, hey, they had a blip under their highest peak was under James Franklin outside of the 1920s, right? And so you have a culture with James Franklin that was extremely confident. You knew they were going to get some dudes. You knew they were going to get the most out of those dudes, and that was pre-transfer portal era. That was pre-NIL era. They were doing that. And just imagine if they'd been able to legally pay players. Just imagine if they were able to do the things that you can do in the transfer portal era, in the NIL era. Then with those rosters, they might have made a major bowl game. They might have been in contention for a BCS slot. They might have had discussions about, hey, we actually have a legitimate chance of playing in Atlanta for the SEC championship. Like that, at that time, that could have possibly been a reality. I don't know. But, when you involve money and you involve a fast growing city like Nashville and a city that's starving for a winner, I think you have a chance to really kind of build something that's more sustainable. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be competing for college football playoff spots every single year, but they're going to be more in the conversation than they've ever been, right? They were last year. After they beat Virginia Tech, I guarantee you that got a bunch of people's attention. Then they beat Alabama, and everybody's like, oh, this team's for real. And then they follow it up, beating Kentucky on the road. I don't know if you heard us, but this team's for real. They follow it up with a win against Auburn. They followed up with a good showing against Texas, a good showing against LSU, a good showing against Tennessee. Those games got away from them, but they had respectable losses in there. And they were a team that could have easily been 8-4. And so you're looking at it going, is this sustainable? And with the culture that they've built, I think it is. I think you've got great pieces around. I think you've proven that you have a great culture. You have a culture that people want to come play for. You have a defense now set that guys want to play in. That is very transferable for their skills. It's very beneficial for a lot of guys' skill sets. You've got a great defensive mind in Clark Lee that people are drawn to now. Whereas he kind of looked vapant early in his tenure. He looked like he was just kind of like in over his head. He was kind of a motionless robot because that's what he thought he had to be. He was so far detached from the program, it seemed like. But he's changed all of that. And a lot of that shows when you're constantly dealing with portal guys, and you're constantly recruiting your own roster, you're recruiting high schoolers, you're recruiting transfer portal guys, you're recruiting coaches, you're recruiting the community. Like, he finally got himself connected. He finally let them see who Clark Lee really is. And I think that's been a major change too. You, as Kurt Page says, you remove a lot of emotional interference. I think that's why this thing is becoming sustainable. I think this is why it's no fluke, right? And I think that's why that, these small changes led to big results, is because, you put yourself out there, people see that you're genuine, they're going to now trust what you have to say, right? Because before it's like, oh, it's just Vanderbilt, this guy's going to be gone, he doesn't know what he's doing, why do we trust, why do we need to trust him? We're not going to go there, that place is toxic, man, they're going to have a new head coach, we're going to be back in the portal again, like, I'm not even going to fool with them. And now it's like, okay, this guy might be legit. They've got Jerry Kill, who we know is legit. He's proven he's been legit. Then they get Diego Pavia. And Diego turns into Diego football. He turns into a bona fide star, to the point where people are on pins and needles wondering if he's going to win his case against NCAA. Most of the time it's like, move on, right? In most cases, probably 99% of the time, programs would have moved on. Programs would be like, hey, we got to move on. There's guys in the port, like, we got to move on, right? But Pavia has that charisma about him that Vanderbilt's like, we're not going to move on. We're going to wait to see what you do. We like the quarterbacks we have, and we'll roll with him if we have to. But we're rolling with you, Diego. So go win your case. We're here. We got you. We're not recruiting another quarterback until we know what's going on with you. That's how this thing is going. And teams see that kind of loyalty, or guys see that kind of loyalty. The team sees that loyalty, and they're like, okay, we can do this. So now they get out and start recruiting. They get out and start championing. Like CJ Hurd commits. Who's first on Twitter, talking him up, hyping him up, gassing him up? It's Dante Carter, right? His soon-to-be defensive backfield mate. Like that's the kind of culture you want. And then, of course, you add in an NIL potential, and you add in, there's a lot of factors here. But Vanderbilt has become a very, very attractive place. So it actually is sustainable. Now, the guys that we're getting, okay, I want to talk about that for a minute too. Okay, the guys that we're getting, I think a lot of people get wrapped up in stats. And stats are great for a lot of things, but with portal additions, stats are a hard thing for me, because the kind of guys that are entering the portal very rarely are guys that you would look to and go, okay, he was a big-time producer at whatever university, and he's leaving, right? If there's a guy in the portal that's a big-time producer, chances are he did not leave on his own accord, right? Like, let's be real about this. Chances are he probably got kicked off the team. All right. The only other possibility is that the head coach moved on, got fired. And he's looking for a new opportunity because it's a new head coach. Like, that's probably the only other plausible situation. The other situations are negative. Like, he's somebody he's a headache that you don't want to deal with, or he got kicked off the team, or a combination of both. All right. Sometimes guys just need fresh starts, and that happens. But like, those guys aren't flooding the portal. What's abundant in the portal is a lot of talented guys that couldn't quite get their opportunity, that want to look for an opportunity elsewhere. Guys that can play, just haven't had the opportunities to, right? And I'll talk about more of those guys here in a little bit, but like, people get wrapped up in the stats too much when it comes to portals. You gotta go back and watch the film. Go back and look at their offers. Go back and kind of see the situation they were in. Who was in front of them? Right? Who are they backing up? What opportunities do they have? How did the season go? What is the coach's philosophy there? Right? Go look at those scenarios. Right? You're not going to get a 1,000-yard receiver to come to Vanderbilt from Texas. Right? You're not going to get that. You're not going to get a guy that's going to put up, because why would he leave that situation? Like, why would he leave a great situation, a productive situation, if it's not negative? Right? Why would he leave that? He's not. Chances are, more times than not, he's not. Like, the guys that are leaving USC, I'm a little concerned about that, because like, things are starting to implode around Lincoln Riley. So that could be a scenario to where like, those guys are leaving and no one would blame them. But just got to understand that, like, hey, this guy was a 4-star coming out of high school. He can ball. He got signed by Virginia Tech, or he got signed by Alabama. He got signed by Texas, or, he was signed to these big programs for, like, they don't just throw out high school offers. Like, if you're a highly rated guy coming out of high school and you end up signing at a university like this, just know that these universities have other guys of similar talent level, and somebody's got to start and somebody's got to sit the bench. And a lot of times the guy that's backing up wants his starting opportunity. If there's a guy that's blocking his path in doing so, he's going to hit the portal. Just because he hits the portal doesn't mean he can't play, right? So you got to be careful of being skeptical of these guys, right? You got to be careful. And then, of course, you get a highly productive guy at a G5 level. Again, stats only tell you so much. Like, you get a guy, like, okay, this guy put up some numbers. Then he comes in, he's a flop because, well, he's not a big-time player. He doesn't have big-time talent. He just produced at a small university. Like, you got to figure out the story. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just got to be, hey, we trust the coaches. We're gonna go from there. But Vanderbilt signed. They got another guy coming in, receiver, local kid, coming from Virginia Tech. We'll talk about him next. Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that definitely happened to me. I know it's happened to you too. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bill so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So for me, the best features is the subscription tracker. Excuse me. I got so excited about it, I can't even say it. I used it to cancel services that I wasn't paying for anymore, and I've already saved a ton as it is. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. So cancel your unwanted memberships and subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. So go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. You got it. Go to it now. Do it now. All right. Also, Gametime. Hell yeah. You want to go to that local event? Well, Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That's right. That means you bring people together at live events and the experiences that makes that experience much, much better. And it's a perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, right? So priority Game Time Picks, they've made it a priority. That they've made curation a priority, and it makes it easier to save more on sports, comedy, concerts, whatever, wherever you're going, any live event you're going to. If you toggle the feature of all-in pricing, if you toggle that on, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout, and you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So you pick section 333, row K, seat 14. You're going to get to see that in the app. And if you like it, buy it. If you don't, move on to the next one. Also, they have a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC is the place to go. Our squad show, it dropped yesterday. It drops every Thursday, whether I'm on it or not. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, but it drops every Thursday. Check it out. Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job. Also, my man Stephen Willis at Locked On Ole Miss, he does a phenomenal job. It's just a great show. If you like Ole Miss or not, it's very, very interesting, actually. So check that out as well. But man, Vandy's cooking in the portal, man. And I say all of that, what I said earlier, to say that Chase Fitzgerald is buying into the hype. And I like it. 6'3", 190, Nolensville kid, 3-star, 4-star coming out of high school, depending on what publication you looked at. Virginia Tech believed in him. Unfortunately for him, he came into a very loaded wide receiver room and wasn't able to get the opportunity that he wanted to be able to play and get reps up there, which is what put him in the portal in the first place. And so I'm excited to get this one. This kid's coming home, so that there's that hometown pride a little bit there. But I mean, this guy's good, right? He played a little bit of special teams, but I mean, this guy is a good receiver. This guy can go up and get it. He's smooth. He's he's just, I think he's going to be a guy that ends up being, he could be that. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was that receiver, if he was that alpha guy that came in and commanded that respect and became Diego Pavia's number one target. So when you look at his film, it's a treat, man. Nolensville High School, like I said, local product. I love everything about this, man. And this is what I talked about in the live show, is that like the last piece of this puzzle is finding that alpha guy at a receiver, or finding those two alpha guys at a receiver in this scenario. And this guy had 40 offers coming out of high school, so he could have really gone anywhere he wanted to. But he's a contested catch guy. He's a high point guy. He's somebody that's going to be a dog with the ball in the air. But he's just dynamic, man. He just makes it happen. And I love this alpha mentality. And speed to burn too. I mean, first play takes a screen to the house. It just seemed like it was effortless, no problem whatsoever. So, is this guy the answer we're looking for? I think so. I really, really believe that. And I have nothing to base that on as far as college stats. So I can't say definitively, yeah, because he did this against that team while at Virginia Tech, that leads me to believe. But the skill set that he has, the size. You can't coach 6'3" as a receiver. He's very, very smooth. He has the fundamentals. He has the skill set to be special. And I think coming back home to Nashville, I think he's going to have the motivation to really show out and be that number one guy that he's been yearning to be ever since he stepped foot in Blacksburg. Now he's going to do it for the home team. Now that he believes that, hey, we've got a viable option at quarterback, we can do this and we can get this thing done. So I'm excited about this signing, man, and I think you should be too. This is going to add a lot of electricity to an offense that features a lot of unproven talent, but talent nonetheless. Guys that are looking for those opportunities. He's another one of those. He's a little bit more of a veteran name, but still a lot to prove, and that's a really good combination for a receiver in a room that's starving for somebody to jump out and take over this thing. So, like I said, Nolensville product, phenomenal athlete, great receiver, just commands respect, physical, just kind of had that dominant personality. And looking at his high school, to me, he jumps out like he's got that dog mentality. So very excited about this offense, very excited about what they're building. They've built the offensive line. They've gotten 3 really good commits on the offensive line, guys that can come in and add depth to that unit. And man, I'm super excited about what the future holds for this offense. It got one step better today with adding Chase Fitzgerald from Virginia Tech. So check out his highlights. Check out his high school highlights. If you want to get a good idea of what you're getting, check out those highlights. Plus, he's probably added 10 pounds of good weight in the weight room at Virginia Tech. You know, he's developed there on their scout team and in their practices. So he's not just been sitting on his butt. I think people think just because you're not playing in games means you're sitting on your butt. You're getting development, right? It's just not coming in the form that you think it should be, right? Jackson Meeks did that at Georgia, didn't get a single rep in a game at Georgia, goes to Syracuse, puts up nearly 1,000 yards receiving. So, that can be a lesson for portal guys. That can be a lesson on being skeptical of getting a guy from the portal. He just needs an opportunity, and Vanderbilt's about to provide that. So defensively, they got a lot better. I'm going to talk about that next. All right, it's that time of year. The college football playoff is back, and it's a newly expanded 12-team format. It's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of college football playoff begins on December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff Kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, hopefully featuring Charles Barkley. Leading into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs, which I feel weird saying that, but SMU, battling Penn State, the Nittany Lions, at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss a moment of the action. Watch College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max, wherever you feel like viewing it. So also the Joint chiropractic, man. If you're not you should go. They have 900 locations nationwide. There's no excuse. There's one nearby. I got cracked earlier this week. I still feel good. And the doctor's like, dude, you must be riding high because I cracked you the first time. It looks like it worked because you seem like everything's working in really good rhythm. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped about the results, and you should be too. The Joint Chiropractic, Bellevue, Tennessee is the one I go to, but go to the one nearest you, obviously, and you won't regret it. I promise. All right. Welcome back. Wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. Follow the show on social media at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. It's it's a good way to stay in touch with the upcoming stuff. You get some pretty cool content as well. But I'm looking forward to this upcoming football season because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The basketball team, they scored over 100 against the Citadel. That was amazing. I'm looking forward to conference play there as well. But this portal season, this football team is proving that, hey, they're not just a fluke, man. They're starting to make people believe that they're a legitimate operation. And it's, and they're like, hey, Vanderbilt actually realizes it has a football team and they're going to start to take it seriously. And Clark Lee has been a big part of that. And I think him taking over the defense has been a big part of that. And I think it's the reason why they've been getting studs left and right on the defense. They got Aaron Bryant on the defensive line, Keanu Coate as a linebacker, and now CJ Hurd from FAU coming in as a safety. Also Jordan Matthews coming in as a corner from Tennessee. Like, you get 4 really nice transfer pieces to go to your defense. You get Austin Howard from the high school ranks, Josiah Broxton from the high school ranks, who's kind of a project linebacker, developmental guy, but again, very good. Carson Lawrence from the high school ranks at safety, and you get a lot of great pieces there. But I want to talk about CJ Hurd for a second. He's 5'11", which I think is the reason why he ended up at FAU in the first place. And I don't think you should let the height fool you, because like this guy's a stud, man. Honestly, this guy's outstanding. I mean, I looked at his highlights and I was like, holy cow, man. This guy's going to be good for Vanderbilt. And this guy is, if there's a safety that is made for Clark Lee's defense, it's this guy, right? I'm like, holy cow, man, this guy is ridiculous, man. And he's physical. He got the hair flowing out of the back of the helmet. I mean, this guy's everywhere, man. He's a hitter. He's just around the ball. He's a playmaker, and he plays a lot bigger than his 5'11" size. And it's just fun watching him play, man. He's going to be, I think he's going to be a good pair with Dante Carter. And what I love about this is that Clark Lee knows how to use these guys. He knows he has a really good plan about how to use safeties. He has a really good idea of, what he wants to do and how he wants to tackle. Like, he loves the 3 safety thing. He loves a lot of that. And he loves moving those guys around. He loves putting them in different situations. Dante Carter is unequivocally going to be the single high. He's going to be the deep free safety if they go one safety looks. I think, CJ Hurd can play down and around the box with Brandon Fontenette. I think Fontenette's going to be moved around. I think you got a lot of versatility with these 3 guys, with Carson Lawrence as well, with Devin Chandler. Those guys give you a lot of flexibility in what you want to do and how you want to do it and how you want to play the safety position. So I'm excited about this signing. I'm excited about all the defensive guys, man. I think they all fit. I think they all fit together. And I think it's going to be a situation to where you have a lot of versatility in what you can do, how you can attack. I think you're going to be able to be more aggressive with your front 4, which means you can dedicate more guys to coverage. You can put guys closer to the line of scrimmage. I think having CJ Hurd and Brandon Fontenette gives you a chance to play guys closer to the box, which means you take away those short passing windows, and you have a guy as talented as Dante Carter back at the deep safety. I think you have a true free safety, so I think you can play a lot of single high looks. You can take away a lot of the slant routes, a lot of the hitch routes. You can get guys closer to the ball that are going to be able to tackle well in space when you throw screens. Like, you're going to be able to do a lot more defensively because, and this is not a knock on CJ Taylor, this is not a knock on DeRicky Wright, but I think you've actually got a better, more versatile unit overall from a defensive backfield perspective, because you got Martel Height, you've got Jordan Matthews now, you've got some options at corner. You can do some things with Colby Taylor. Like, if you want to go a 3-corner, 2 safety look, you can throw him in there. He can cover a boundary guy. I think CJ Hurd is pretty good at that. I think you could drop Dante Carter down to cover a boundary guy and put Brandon Fontenette back deep. Like, you have a lot of options as far as how to arrange your defensive backfield. I think you have some really good rotational guys. If you want to go an even front on the defensive line, you've got Seabrooks and Bryant that can stay together with Corday Sidnor and Zaylen Wood on the ends, and Patterson and Longwell as your backers. Nick, I think you've got options. You got some young guys that can fill in, that can rotate to give you a little bit of depth. And so you've got this defense is becoming more and more athletically gifted. And they're not done building. They're not done building on offense. They've got another receiver to get probably. They've got another running back, I think, that they can pull. I think there's some options there too. So you're going to have a team that is finally, I think, going to reach that depth threshold to where now in a close game, they can finish it off. Like against Texas, they came on a little too late, but I think they got really gassed in the second quarter killed them because they just couldn't keep up with Texas, and Texas was just on a roll. Against South Carolina, they completely petered out and was just cooked. And I think that was because of lack of depth. Against LSU, same thing. Get off to a really good start. But just kind of fizzle out because your depth just isn't there. Against Tennessee, same scenario. You get off to a 14-0 lead just like that. You've got all the momentum, fizzles out because again you don't have the depth. And so Tennessee has the depth. They have the behemoths on the offensive line to just wear you down, and that's what they did to Vandy. And so with Vandy collecting some of these guys from the portal is important because you got fresher guys that can come in and really just kind of provide that extra oomph to your team. So you win some of these closer games. But anyway, real quick, I'm in overtime. I always go over. Locked on. Please don't hurt me. All right. These are my picks for the college football playoff. I'm not including Texas. I think that's an obvious one. I just don't think Clemson has much of a chance to cover that one. If I had a fourth one, it would be take Texas minus, I think, 11.5 or whatever. Take Texas, whatever that spread is. Indiana, I'm calling my shot here. I think they not only cover, I think they win it outright, man. There's something about them. They're not as talented as Notre Dame. Both teams are extremely well coached, but there's just something about Indiana that I really, really like. I think they're going to win that game. SMU, probably more so the fact that I just don't trust Penn State. So I think SMU's at least going to cover. I'm not going to be quite as bold with SMU, but I do think they do cover. I think this is a touchdown game because SMU can do some explosive things offensively. Penn State, I just don't trust them. So I'm taking SMU plus 8.5 in the points. Tennessee, in this matchup, I'm going to take them every day of the week. And it's not because I'm a fan of them. Don't take it as I'm rooting for them. I just think Ohio State just can't hang. Weather's not going to be a factor. Tennessee is really good up front. Defense and run game, which is Ohio State. They can't defend the run. Tennessee can run really, really well. I just don't see it. I just don't see a world where Ohio's soft-ass team is going to win this game. I just don't. And I hope people don't get too mad at me about taking Tennessee because that's like a sin around here in the black and gold world. But I just think they're going to – I think they're going to beat Ohio State. I don't think Ohio State's going to win that game. I think Tennessee is just too strong for them. And that's just kind of how I feel. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Vandy, we turn. And have a turnt weekend. Enjoy the college football. Enjoy the bowl games. Enjoy the playoff games. Enjoy the NFL, who is flexed to Saturday as well. Enjoy. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If this is the last time you see me, but I will have a few. I will be on all next week as well. So with that, peace.